on YouTube in like their original form because like I guess like copyright or whatever. I don't know. Anyways, what's up, guys? Welcome to Greatest League Talkshow.
He's a fake weeb.
What? No, it's just that YouTube just actually just has copyright issue stuff. So
he's like, yeah, dude, I love this OP, and then like he puts it on it. It's like the
it's
dub
the dubs,
version.
yeah.
He's
I
like,
just
wait,
love the dub version, guys.
dude, I'm not judging. You know, they're doing some great job with dub stuff recently.
We should judge. Well, that's the thing is that those animes a long time ago when they were dubbed.
Oh,
they were like taking anybody on the street to do their dubs. They were just like, you can speak English? All right, you're coming in, man.
It was. I still remember. I think the first time dubbing became like more relatively mainstream was when like they first brought Naruto over, right?
Yeah.
And then I still remember hearing "Believe It" the first time I ever heard that. I was just like, I wonder how they did the dub for this anime. You know, it's pretty good. And then I heard that, I'm like, you know what? Sub for life, dude.
I remember during Saturday morning cartoons. I forgot what channel it was on, but they did this One Piece dub by 4Kids.
Oh yeah,
and
so
literally it was so bad that I was like, One Piece is so dumb. Like I just assumed that the dubs were right? Like I just assumed that they knew what they were doing. And so I never gave One Piece a chance, and then like I don't know, it was like a year later where I gave it a chance, and I was like, oh my god, actually this is really good.
That's actually a great example because I remember 4Kids dubbing One Piece. That one was just
it was so
awful.
bad. It was so bad.
But anyways, welcome to our Sunday episode. Today is our final episode for the season, the normal summer season of NA LCS. The pre-show pretty much covers a wide variety of topics, usually around our personal interests.
Yeah.
Which just so happen to be like League, anime,
and other video games.
Essentially.
Yeah.
And we do this while we're waiting for Mark to come from the right offices because unfortunately he gets held up a little bit while he's trying to close out the show.
Yeah, pretty much. So,
yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Sunday is always the slow day. We always talk about... Dude, Sunday is a day where we're just like... We come in on Saturday and we're like, hey, what do you want to talk about? Okay, well, this week this happened. We'll just talk about this. And then Saturday is also our longer episode. So coming into Sunday, the day after, we're just like, what do you want to talk about? Oh, the stuff that happened in between like the 5 hours or like the 12 hours between Saturday and Sunday, which is nothing usually.
People want us to talk about Bleach.
Oh,
I meant drinking bleach.
Oh, I mean, essentially, if you watch one, it's like the same thing, right? You'll watch one and want to do the other. It's cause and effect.
I'm glad you. I was trying to toss like a underhand pitch there, and you hit a home run with it. Jesus Christ, dude! Oh God.
That show should have ended after 2 arcs. Like, let's be 100%.
It's so bad. It's so bad.
A lot of people complain about like power creeping in League of Legends. Watch that show. Tell me you like power creeping in that show is done to like the most extreme I've ever seen, except for like a show that like does it to make fun of power creep in other shows. Like,
yeah,
I think I saw like Gurren Lagann, which is like actually like just ridiculous.
Yeah, well, even in Gurren Lagann though, like it follows like a trajectory and stays with it all the way, right?
What the? It follows like this trajectory, and then like the last episode is like you just go straight up.
Yeah, it's definitely this. But here's the problem with Bleach is that like they just started him out way too strong, and it wasn't even done like funny. Like One Punch Man, he starts off really strong, and it's funny because they use that as a trope to kind of explore his character. With Bleach, it was just like he just gets his Bankai, which is like this thing that apparently like everyone else in the world takes like hundreds of years to develop, and he's just like, I got it. I got you. I'm so powerful. I got it. And then they were like, oh God, what now? How do we make him stronger? It's like, now he's part Arrancar, and now he has a mask because he had a dad who was or like, I forget the story for Bleach, but they had to keep giving him like random excuses for why he becomes more powerful. And then like in the end, it like doesn't matter because Aizen's like so powerful because he just messes with your perception of the world or something. I don't know.
Yeah, like they just go like a little bit too nuts on it. Like I would prefer to watch almost anything rather than that show. I think the first 2 seasons, dude, was great. And to be honest, I'm actually personally impressed with how much Japan milked that game.
Yeah.
Like there are so many games around that. Even at Anime Expo this year, there was that big banner for like, oh, our new mobile game, Bleach mobile game just came out. Please play it. And I'm just like, wait, didn't that's dead already? Like, why are you still talking about it? Well, but like they milked that like to the extreme, and like I it's actually impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
Like I can understand milking One Piece. It's like literally the most popular,
and it's still going on.
Yeah,
and people still love it.
It's still like the #1 anime of like all time and manga of all time for Japan. So like that makes sense. But milking Bleach, that's impressive.
Oh my god, I see a lot of people saying K-On!
Or
Have you seen
Fairy Tail?
K-On!?
I have not seen K-On!, but I've read a lot of Fairy Tail up until the point where I'm just like, this is just pure fan service.
Yeah, well, okay, so Fairy Tail has other issues. Like, I actually watched Fairy Tail for a certain amount because, like, I liked the different characters and stuff, and it was interesting. And then
it stopped being about, like, I thought it was like a shonen manga or like a shonen anime with a bunch of fan service. But it just stopped being a shonen anime. It just started being fan service. Like, the fights were, like, build up. Like, you built up to the fan service. You didn't build up to the fights. That's how I thought. I was like, the plot is so strange in this show.
Well, it ended up being super bland. Just like I can't like remember anything that was like super interesting. Like I remember Urza Scarlet being like, oh my gosh, she's like a cool badass character.
I don't even remember anything about the show except for the fact that the artist is the same person who drew One Piece. Yeah, and that's what everyone recognizes.
Yep. Yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't stick with Fairy Tail. You know, it's tough to stick with shonen in general because it usually ends up being so long. But like Fairy Tail just wasn't even good. Like that's gonna be a shonen that just kind of everyone just kind of slowly forgets about.
Oh my god, what is a anime / manga that dropped off that got canceled that you would want to come back?
Because it was bad, right?
No, because it's good. You want another season of it.
Okay, well, like the obvious answer here is Hunter x Hunter, right? Like that's actually the obvious answer. That's like the show that like should have more episodes. Let's be real.
I'm gonna throw something out there. Okay. I don't know if you've even heard about this. It's called Zombie Powder.
I have no idea.
It's like a manga that only got to 2 volumes and got discontinued. But it was super good. Zombie Powder was probably like one of my favorite ones, and then it just like almost no one I know knows what it's about. If you guys read manga, look for it online. There's only like 2 volumes out there. You can read the whole thing, but it's like something where it's like literally, it was like a very stereotypical shonen.
Wait, is that true? That Zombie Powder was made by the same guy who did Bleach?
I think so. I think it was the first one before he switched to Bleach.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then he came out with Bleach.
Oh my God, Shaman King! I'm reading all. Everyone's just like spamming.
No, Shaman King had a sequel. Actually.
No.
It had a manga sequel that came out like 2 years ago, which no one read, but it happened.
Really?
Yes.
I thought so. Like what I thought happened with Shaman King was like. It got towards the end, and the artist was actually. I remember because I used to read Shonen Jump all the time, and Shaman King was in it, and I remember there being like an artist note or something, being like, "I don't know how to continue this story. I've like lost motivation to do this," and then like it didn't happen for several years, and then I remember going back to it and being like, "Oh, I think they finally finished it or something." I don't know.
Yeah, it's called like Shaman King Flowers. Like the entire cast just died, just finishes what they do, and it shows up like years in the future where it's like they talk about the descendants.
Oh, I see.
Which it was not very good.
I don't know. Shonen manga, I feel like.
D Gray Man's a good one too.
D Gray Man, that's a classic. A lot of people talk about Tower of God. That's everyone just wants an anime version of it.
Yeah, it's like the thing that gets everyone into Korean manga, because it used to be that like if you had to choose between any of the different genres, like Japan was king when it came to manga, and then like recently Korean manga has been getting really popular, and like I think Tower of God kind of started the push with Noblesse.
Ooh, Dead Man Wonderland, I really like that one. Tokyo Ghoul sucked.
Yeah, Noblesse and Tower of God started like the hype, I think, for Korean manga, and they're both like good at what they do. Respectively.
Hopefully there's more Korean manga that turns into anime, like through Korean animation and stuff. I'd love to see that. You know, it's funny. So I'm Korean. I would say I'm fairly fluent in Korean. You know, I used to translate for Piglet and stuff like that back when I worked with Team Liquid. So my Korean's pretty good. But I'll tell you one thing, like, because I watch so much goddamn anime, you just like start to learn a little bit of Japanese, you know?
Oh.
And it would be nice if there was like Korean shows, because that way I could refresh on my Korean.
Oh. So
do you feel that way? I mean, you don't watch that much anime, though.
No, I don't.
You just read a lot of manga.
I feel like it's worse because like I just like I don't want to pick up the language because I just enjoy it for like the entertainment medium. So even though I hear like the only thing I remember is like some random guy going like "Nani?" and then that's it. And I'm just like, yeah, I know Japanese.
Yeah. Nanda, kore wa.
Oh my god. That's actually what I think. I'm serious. I don't know any Japanese except for that.
Someone needs to make a weeb voiceover for League of Legends, and like anytime you do a missing ping, it goes nutty.
Oh, I actually think it'd be hilarious to have like people just do like a voice package. Do you remember the Kitty Pie voice package came out?
Yeah.
That was so funny.
I'm surprised that more people haven't done that. I feel like because I remember back in the day, Black and Nola decided that he was gonna make one or something, and someone made the fan one for a Kitty Pie and stuff like that.
Like
I think those would be great.
I think it's mainly just like it's such a pain to like do it or to like install it that no one actually uses it. It's just funny, you know.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's not even that hard to use it. You literally replace like a set of files with a set of your files.
Yeah.
But like that's too many clicks for people. Like pressing download, like
then you got to find the folder. And someone needs to make like a patcher.
Yeah, exactly. Someone has to do like a registry edit to make sure everything like changes over.
Yeah. K-On! League voice pack. You know, K-On! Is one of those shows that I feel like isn't like mainstream popular, you know, K-On!, but like within weebs, everyone loves that show. So
it's just like little girls doing cute things.
Yeah, and it's actually great.
Oh my god!
I recently watched K-On! with my stream, and it was actually so fun. That show is just literally just like, it just warms your heart.
Yeah, I'd rather watch stuff where like it warms your heart because you see someone ripping out someone else's heart.
You gotta give in to some of the cuter anime. Like, you still haven't watched Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, right?
No.
That was just on Crunchyroll Presents or.
If you had to ask me, all right, what would you be interested in watching? I'd rather watch the Ballroom anime than watch that.
Really?
Yes.
What?
I don't know. I'm just more interested in that kind of stuff.
All right. K-On! Felt pointless to me. Yeah, that's I understand that, like, because like slice of life anime, it just feels like.
Yeah, like
I don't know.
I personally like enjoy like the last anime I watched that I enjoyed was Yuri on Ice, which is actually really good.
Yeah.
Super
Yuri on
good.
Ice, I heard is really good. I actually haven't watched that yet.
What?
I don't know.
It was literally like the most talked about anime for like half a year. I actually can't believe you haven't watched it. I did tweet. Did I not tweet? I refuse to believe I'm that incompetent 2 days in a row.
Wait, you did tweet because I got a thing.
Perfect. See, he's got my back.
Xell's smooth legs. You know, as an Asian, I don't grow any hair on my limbs.
Anyways.
Oh God, Log Horizon was awful. Who is that? Tech Epic? I couldn't see it because it's dark blue.
I actually got so mad about Log Horizon. It's supposed to be a slice of life anime, and once you recognize that, you realize that. Oh, I think most people come in expecting it to be a combination of like shonen and slice of life.
Yeah.
And then they start to realize, no, it's just full slice of life. And then after they make that realization, they come to the second realization, the most important one. It's just a bad slice of life anime.
Log Horizon was the slowest.
It's so slow. It like
most pedantic.
It's actually like the entire episode could be like, it's like one Christmas episode where it's just like they find out nothing. Like
well, so okay. So Log Horizon, like legitimately, everyone told me like if you hated SAO, you will love Log Horizon. I was like, okay, well I hate SAO, so I'm gonna go watch Log Horizon. And I sit there, and I'm 12 episodes in, and I was like, when does anything fucking happen in this show? You're in this fantasy world, and they're like talking about the economy. How do we fix the economy of the game? And it's like, what?
The only thing
I don't give a shit about the economy. Go fight something. God damn it! And then like the characters are like, I'm a little ninja girl. I'm cute, and the guy's like, ho, I'm going to be the pervy guy. Haha, little girl, and she slaps him, and that's like. God, come on.
The only thing about that anime that was funny to me was how many times the main character pushed up his glasses. Like, to the point where
it's like
wow, it's like, God, they're really playing on that.
It's so trope driven, but not in like a good way, you know? And that's the thing. And yes, I liked K-On! Because like the characters were exciting and they felt fresh, and it was like, no matter what those characters did, because the characters were well written and they were goofy and they had fun with things, like I could watch the K-On! Girls do anything and it would be fun. But those Log Horizon characters, I was like, oh my God, I just can't care about them.
As an aside, how do you push up your glasses if they fall down?
I do this.
You do this?
Yeah, I do this.
Oh my God. You know what I used to do for a long time that I still do sometimes? I used to go like this.
From the one.
Yes.
You're such a fucking loser.
Dude, are you serious? You calling me that? I don't want to talk about it, dude. It was just like something when I first watched it from a long time ago.
Okay, hold on.
I used to do, what? How is this?
I need. let me explain this.
How
before
can you
people
say that to me?
Who don't know this? So there's a character in One Piece
like
who has these like cat claws. That's his like power.
Yeah.
And so he learns to push up his glasses like this so that his cat claws don't get.
Yeah. So when I push up my glasses, sometimes I do it like
Dude,
this.
I'm a fucking filthy ass weeb.
I'm actually surprised you remember that. That's like the first episode or something.
Oh God.
But
that guy was actually kind of sick though.
I don't do it all the time, but like when I don't catch myself, like I used to do that for a while back when I was younger.
I mean, I do that when I have like, you know, like I don't know, something on my hands.
Yeah, I do too. I just don't.
But yeah, I actually do this thing.
The anime version. Yeah. How do you call me a loser if you do that? Are you serious?
I don't know.
Favorite sports anime?
Ooh.
You're gonna say Haikyuu.
Haikyuu's definitely the most modern sports anime of all time. I think that's like undisputed. I think.
Hikaru no Go.
Hikaru no Go is solid.
Probably after that, maybe Ice Shield 21.
I really like the manga for Ice Shield 21.
Yeah, I think the manga was super
I thought
good.
It was really
I didn't
fun.
see the anime.
Prince of Tennis
Awful.
season 1 was.
No, you want? Let's talk about power creep in that one. All right, when you get to the finals of Prince of Tennis, they're literally playing. He.
Oh, ping pong the animation's top tier.
Oh, that's super good. That's
tier.
like literally at the very top.
Okay, all right.
But
Prince of Tennis.
Prince of Tennis power creep. For people who don't know, you play like playing tennis. It's like the same thing except for this guy hits a ball into like the stratosphere to get it because this guy can see everything on the court. So like his way of getting around that is he like lobs it into like past like the stratosphere so he can't see it and it comes back down. Like that's how he wins a match. And you're just like, what?
I can't believe you're not even talking about the most ridiculous thing in that show. Was there was a guy whose ability was to take away the senses of his opponent.
Oh yeah!
He hits the ball so hard or something that like the reverberations of the tennis racket slowly numb their nerves in their body and slowly take away their senses. That was legitimately a power that's.
Maybe I thought that was more reasonable. That she needs something into this.
It was like they asked a 7-year-old like what would be a really cool power. It's like, what if my opponent couldn't see? What if like.
Dude, the worst thing is that like Prince of Tennis is huge, or was huge.
Yep.
So they came out with a sequel that was released every month instead of every week. And then it's like they go to like a college training camp, so it's just a continuation of the story. And like the power creep goes full effect. Where like they do rallies and they just do 7 balls at once.
Oh yeah,
What?
Oh, I love that training arc too because they were like, if you can't serve with 7 balls at the same time, then you suck. You're put into a tier 2 camp. I was like, what the fuck is this? Anyways,
but I think those are all pretty good in terms of sports. I actually ended up watching or like reading a lot of different sports ones, so I have.
Yeah, same. I've actually seen a solid amount of.
Oh yeah, Claymore was great too. The manga was really good.
Claymore did this for me. It was like it ramped up and then it just like fell flat on its face.
To be fair, was that manga or anime?
Manga.
Oh,
manga. Who the fuck is this guy?
Dude,
manga.
Come on. Do you really want me to call it?
I always call it manga.
So then, when you switch to the Korean one, you also like change the
mana. Yeah.
God, that's too much for me, man. I can't do
manhwa.
I can't do that.
Yeah. Mango.
I can just call it mango, but I mean, I guess that's fair. In terms of what the most disappointing manga to anime thing was
I can't unhear manga now.
Manga.
But yes, continue.
Mongo. God, that one. It's the one where the very first episode, it seems like it's gonna be very stereotypical. Like a princess saves the guy who's new to the city, and you just find out that she's torturing all the newcomers.
Wait, what?
And then she gets killed, and then that's the start of the episode.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh my god, it's such a popular one that went to complete shit.
It almost.
It's Kame got killed.
Oh.
So.
Oh, Akame got killed. The manga's really good, but the anime's kind of wonky.
You know what happens?
Yeah.
At the end of the anime.
Yeah, I think so.
Apparently, I was told everyone just dies.
Oh, right. well, so Akame got killed as this thing where they introduce you to a bunch of characters and they just literally every episode is just someone dies. It's just they're just whatever. We'll just start killing off characters. We'll do the Game of Thrones thing, but less cool. I don't know. Just everyone dies. Everyone's complaining about spoilers, but Akame got killed is old enough.
Everyone dies everywhere. It's not a Kame got killed thing. You're gonna die. Scarra's gonna die. I'm gonna die.
You don't know that.
Yeah, you don't know that. Are you serious?
Yeah, I bet you die. Let's make a bet. You die at some point.
In this universe.
Yeah.
I watched a lot of sci-fi. I can go to other universes. I watched Sliders when I was younger. I don't know if you watched that. I could slide in to other universes.
All right. That sounds Sliders. What is that? Sounds like a burger joint.
Wait, you never saw that? Why am I the person who only watches this weird, obscure sci-fi stuff?
Because it probably sucks.
It wasn't very good.
I like how you like the
You got me. It was not very good.
Hello, by the way.
Welcome to Greatest League Talk
Show. Greatest
Time?
League Talk Show. We're talking
Talk
League
show?
of Legends.
Yeah, welcome to the official show where we cover League of Legends analysis. This is different than our pre-show that covers top-tier anime analysis, so don't get confused. Now that we have Mark here, our LCS white boy analyst, we can now cover all of Sunday's games as well as our weekly power rankings, our last one for the normal season. And
Oh, we
last
haven't
one
set up the graphics, did we, huh?
It's fine. We'll just type them in.
Motherfucker, Josh. What? We need power ranking pictures. What? We need power ranking pictures. What? Josh, we need power ranking pictures. No. They're on my computer.
Oh my god! You want to get started? Wait! Did we write in the
topics?
I hope so.
I don't know what you and Josh do before I get here. Let's see. Let's change scenes. You want to make a bet?
No, because I don't think we did.
Motherfucker. Yeah, that looks right to me though, right?
Yeah.
These teams played today.
That looked perfectly good.
Yeah, absolutely right.
You want me to start typing, or do you want to start typing?
I'll fucking do it.
Welcome to the intro to our talk show. We're experiencing some technical issues.
There's no technical problems. There's people problems.
That's what a technical problem is in a technical sense.
What are you saying?
What? I'm just saying.
This is gonna be a fast. I feel like we're gonna cruise through this, honestly.
Dude, some of the notes I took today, I reread them and I was like, what was this game?
It's literally like someone got smashed.
Or the games just turned into
Clown Fiestas.
Yes, complete bloodbath. I had trouble following two games at once because literally what ended up happening was one game was really slow. The other game was the biggest skirmish possible.
Yeah.
Just at each other's throats. People are getting upset you used EF instead of FOX, by the way. I personally don't care.
Suck my balls.
Okay. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. Are you guys ready? Are you ready?
I'm ready, dude.
All right.
Bring me in.
Let's get into C9 versus Echo Fox game. This series was a 2-game series where C9 ended up smacking them
Oh boy.
really hard. Super hard. I don't know what I'm going to say this series except for Jensen dying once lowered his KDA.
Yeah, Jensen died once. Didn't have complete slot 10 kill performances.
Yeah, which I feel of all the mid laners in the lower teams, Frog is going to give you that matchup, you know? Whereas against most of the lower team mid laners, he's just going to do that to them.
Yeah. So Froggen is an individual matchup he can't solo kill. Froggen actually leads the league in solo kills.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he has, I think, 16 and... No, he had 24 and Jensen had 16.
Wow, that's actually crazy. That's a large difference.
Yeah, it was actually pretty crazy. And Jensen was still number 2. So, anyways, yeah, this series, I mean, we can fly through a couple of these, dude. Like, I really, it's the last time we're going to talk about Echo Fox for months. So, I'm fine.
All right, let's go. Let's fly through these. So,
all right, Brandini gets Shen in game 1. He's a good Shen player. He's shitting on Impact.
Which is so weird. Like, honestly, like, how does
I mean, this isn't a great Galio matchup early on, for sure.
But also, it's because he started E level 1, so what does he expect to do? You can't even leash with E level 1.
I don't know, dude. Don't ask me, all right? Either way, he's getting dumped on. Contracts comes up there to try and help. Brandini actually has a monster outplay to get a kill and get out in the 2v1. And it just doesn't matter. It just really doesn't matter.
I think it looks good for Fox up until the point where they walk into Topside River.
Yep, because C9's on Rift Herald.
Yes, so they walk into Topside River. I think they see Jensen or the support.
They see Jensen.
And then they start going on him, and then they didn't realize 4 people are there to get turned on, to get 2 for in that position. And then that's when they start from their good lead topside, or top lane, then gets turned into like a deficit, and then C9 essentially run with the game.
Yeah, so it's just like they were very lackadaisical, like you said, because they didn't think anyone was there. That leads into a 2-0, like you said, and then they pick off one person. They kill Froggen in the mid lane, like 18, 19 minutes in, and just like Echo Fox doesn't defend anything. It's like Froggen's our mid laner, and if he's dead, no one else goes mid, so you get our inhib.
Yeah, they lost inhib straight up from one pick.
It's single kill.
It's because they were trying to solo Baron at the same time. So Froggen was trying to play up to pretend nothing was happening. And then Froggen dies, okay, they can't do Baron anymore, and then they just give up everything. Because I think they're really scared of fighting anything at all.
Yep, so after they get the inhib, C9 goes to Baron at 25 minutes. They bait the Baron, they turn off, they get a 3-for-1. They go back to Baron, they take the Baron, they end the game. Game 2.
That's exactly what I have. In this one, I just put that like Gate got camped like really hard.
Yeah.
So Maokai went bot twice, ended up getting kills twice. Smoothie played it really well, able to secure the kills, and Sneaky just started off with a really big lead this game.
And this was pretty important because Froggen had Lucian mid and was honestly doing a really good job against Jensen.
He was up like almost 20 CS.
Yeah, and he was like level 5, forcing him out of lane and stuff like that. And C9 had to kind of bring resources mid to help stabilize. But that was fine because their bot lane was just stomping on their own.
Yeah, it wasn't like bring resources as in like the jungle duos a lane. They had the jungle and the support there. One time when Jensen got pushed in because he was like literally 10% health with Froggen trying to snipe him like under his tower.
And so eventually there's like one time where Contracts tanks the whole wave. Like it's a full minion wave, tanks the whole thing to try and keep it in a good spot for Jensen. But eventually Jensen backs, he gets his ninja tabbies. He's matching him in farm for the most part, and he starts actually outplaying Froggen in the 1v1 and like winning trades and things like that.
And the big swing for me was when Acadian tries to gank mid, but the Contracts ends up turning the gank 2-for-0. I think at that point, Fox loses any kind of chance of winning the game.
Yeah,
their bot lane's behind, their mid lane, like once Lucian falls behind, he's like not a good champ.
Yeah, it's another instance of just like I don't think Echo Fox knows where people are on the map because over the wall, Jensen ults Froggen and Acadian while they're trying to clear a pink ward. They go over the wall to try and kill Jensen, but Smoothie and Contracts were already in top river, getting doing something, like dropping wards. So they just come swing mid. Jensen has barrier, baits it really, really well. Super well played by Jensen, and they get a 2-for-0, like you said.
And then I just say, it's like
Echo Fox roll over and die, dude. They don't care.
To me, it's like they didn't defend anything to the point where C9 just used a Herald to get top inhib.
It wasn't even like a surprise Herald, like, wow, they vision control and swing top. It's like, they killed the Herald, it does the global, I'm dead, then they go top, drop the Herald.
And it just gets inhib, and I'm just
it gets inhib from inner. It kills inner, kills inhib turret, and kills inhib.
I was so confused, I'm like, this should never be able to be. I watched it, I had no idea what was going on.
They didn't care. They wanted to get out of there. The season's over for them. They had no chance of going to the promo relegation tournament. They don't give a shit. I'm pretty sure.
Right afterwards, C9 ended up getting Baron, run down mid. Series is over.
Yep.
In like a super fast situation, C9 is now, 7 wins?
Oh, you know what the funniest thing was? I forgot to mention, someone in the chat pointed out. fucking when they do this top in-hit play, Keith is just soloing Dragon by himself on Kog'Maw. And Cho'Gath runs up.
Runs over and just
eats it and runs away.
So funny.
Yeah.
And the worst thing is Froggen and Gate are mid lane pushing down tower. So rather than trading, they're just like, we could get both. And like, I can understand being greedy because they're pretty far behind at this point, but like, it doesn't work out. They only get mid tower and they lose the dragon. What a terrible situation for them.
Oh, God. Anyways, you done with the series?
Yeah, please stop.
Get me out of here.
The
next one's not much better.
Oh, I mean, the next one's okay. It's a TL versus Dig.
Yeah, it was better. It was definitely better, just not much better. It's still 2-0.
Yeah. No, it was a 3-game series.
Oh, shit, you're right. I forgot this was a 3-game series. I thought the Fly Push P1 was the 3-game series.
Yeah, you forgot the second game? You were just like, TL won the game? Shit, let me just...
God, there was something else going on. We didn't cover this one, and it was like, yeah, I actually missed the triple base race, right?
I'll explain what happened.
I saw it after because I went back and watched
that was actually the dumbest stuff ever. I was just like, oh, okay, so they win the game. Oh, I guess not. Oh, but now they win the game. And the entire time, Piglet's got like the biggest smile on his face while he's playing this game.
He was going off with Piglet, or with Vayne. He was happy.
Yeah,
Anyways.
So this is a 3-game series where Dig ends up winning 2-for-1 in a way that you're like not very happy about if you're a Dig fan.
Dude, you're not happy about this if you're live. Like, you watch this game and you're like, fuck. I got to rethink my priorities. Why did I watch this?
I don't know if it was that bad.
No, it wasn't that bad. I'm hamming it up.
Alright, so right now, against Shen, which I think happened in both the first games, a lot of teams are swapping into the Shen lane at level 6 to try to get like the first tower and like to try to like gimmick the Shen to getting a kill on them. If the Shen plays back, then the bot lane just swaps for no reason.
Especially against Taliyah. I think they're just really scared of how quickly a Taliyah Shen comp can get to your bot lane and you have a hard time matching.
Yeah, and so I think the idea is very smart, but by this point, every top laner knows like, oh, they're missing, they're probably going to swap top. So a lot of times these swaps turn out to negatives for a team that swaps first.
So yeah, TL, like we said, there's Taliyah Shen on the other team. They're like, swap, doesn't work out. Dig gets 2-for-1 in turrets. And then it's a really slow game. It was actually the latest first blood in any game this season.
I think 19 minutes was when I wrote that they got first blood.
Yeah, there's a 19-minute. It's like a dragon team fight. TL would have stomped it, but Piglet lost his mind and hopped onto the back line by himself.
I was just like, what the and even with that being said, he was their only death. So it was a 2-for-1.
Yep. So they still won that. But it slows down pretty heavily. Even after that, it was a 2-for-1 for a while, I think. There might have been like a pickoff.
At 4 minutes, TL tried to initiate on the other team, but what ends up happening is a mid lane initiation. And they try to over chase into the enemy team, and then Jarvan just comes in, 3-man ults them. No one can get out. They get obliterated, and the other team takes Baron off.
Yeah, it was Sivir's wet dream. Everyone's trapped together in this little small space. No one can actually get to the Sivir, and she's just ricocheting and boomerang blading. Yeah, like you said, 3-for-1.
And this game is just over.
Yeah, they get Baron, they smash the game. It was a 31-minute game, I think. Because it did take a little bit longer. They went mid, they got the mid inhib, recall, go top, take the top inhib.
It was a
recall,
very
get another
safe
Baron.
game by Dig.
Yeah,
like, very, very safe.
Like too safe, I'd say, to a point.
Yeah, but like, it's like, yeah, you fault them for not closing out the game faster for sure, but it's like something you watch, you're like, Dig is not going to lose this game. It's not possible.
It's something we'll talk about more during the power rankings, and I think it's actually a bit of a problem. But, for this game, there's not like an error where you're like, why? There's not one of those quite like in the next game.
Oh, this game is great. So this game, TL was like, well, it's our last game. We're in relegations, so let's just play our favorite champion.
Yeah, Piglet's like, give me Vayne, baby.
And Darlock is like, give me Lee Sin. I love that champion, even though like both the champions are just god awful, like just not very good.
Yeah, you shouldn't play them.
But if you are gonna pick these champs, what you should do is try to get the Vayne ahead early and try to early pressure with Lee Sin. And what did TL do? They played to their weird ass win condition with this comp, which was Lee impacts the map early and Vayne gets an early lead off of that.
And for the most part, they play the dives all right. They're not super great dives. They're not horrible. They get a 2-for-1 down the bot lane. Then I think they get a 2-for-0 down the bot lane. Topside's not going well. Dardoch dies up there once. Lorlo dies up there once. So it's kind of one of those split map situations.
It's such a scrappy game. Literally, like, every other minute, I was like, this guy dies, this guy dies, this guy dies. Like you said, Dardoch gets soloed by stripping topside jungle early. Top lane gets doved, and, like, bot side makes a play. It's all over the place.
Yeah, I think it's like 8-8 in kills at, like, 15 minutes. But what has happened is Piglet ends up, I think, like 4-1 or something, and Elise ends up 4-1, which is like, it's nice when Elise gets big, but it's really not good if someone else in the other team is getting big too, because Elise really falls off and has a hard time putting that gold to work in a team fight.
And Vayne with being at 4-1 just like one hits the other team. It actually does disgusting amounts of damage. But just to even talk about this more, like Mickey roams bot for a 2-0 that breaks Vayne out of lane, and then Someday roams mid and gets a 2-0 after Lorlo roams mid. So like we said before, really, really scrappy game. Even to the point where like they do their best. This is so weird because Vayne, the old version of Vayne, just always split push. Like Vayne can pretty much beat anyone, especially when ahead. So Dig just group up and try to dodge the Vayne. So like Dig group up and try to siege mid, and then as the Vayne comes in, they get the tower, and then they get collapsed on and lose 2-0. Yeah. And so slowly, like you can see that Dig is like trying to do stuff, but it's just not working out for them.
Yeah, because I think it comes down to, like we were saying, the Trist, even though she's grouped up, she is like a full item behind. So like when you do this fight and the Vayne comes in, it's IE Shiv Vayne versus IE Trist, and it's just such a difference in the carry potential, as well as the fact that like Keen wasn't very strong. So it's like, well, Elise isn't gonna win a 5v5. She can't pick anybody. Like a 4-0 or 4-1 Elise is terrifying when everyone's split up. But like you said, because the Vayne's so strong, they can't split, so they group. But then that makes the Elise worse too. It was admittedly a pretty complicated situation for Dig.
Yeah. It's something where it's like you're not going to be used to. Oh, how do I have to play against Vayne after 20 minutes if she's 4-0? That's like not a situation where you get in scrims. It's something where you have to kind of figure out on the fly.
Yeah, because the Vayne lane is like, I hope we go even at 20 minutes. I hope I'm not dead 4 times. Instead, it's like, oh wait, she's fed as fuck.
Yeah, so they especially with their team comp, they didn't really have that many options to be able to do it, except for like fight before she gets QSS. And I think that they didn't even it ends up terribly for them. TL gets a huge fight around the Baron area, gets Baron. And then
they actually take some objectives.
Yeah, and then the game just devolves into like a bunch of like really bad plays. Like Dig finds a good look where TL just like is at the Baron area again, and then somehow they get the like inside track onto Vayne, kill Vayne. And then kill the team. They go to base. This is the end of the game. They go to end the game, and then what ends up happening is Mickey saves the base, and then it gets reversed to end the game on the other end. And the entire time, I'm just like, did that happen?
TL gets ace trying to end the game. Dig gets ace trying to end the game. TL ends the game.
And the entire time, Piglet's just like, yeah,
tumble. I love this.
He was you can tell like that game too. TL was just like having a great time.
Oh yeah, they're just scrapping.
And it's funny because like that's the game where they're just like, oh, they won that game. They won the game where they had the most fun playing.
Brings us to game 3,
which just saying, Dardoch's not on Lee Sin this game. Maybe they could have won with him on Lee.
Maybe. I mean, Mickey's on Echo. I don't know what the fuck Mickey's champ pool is because we forgot to mention in game 1 he's on Ahri. Not a great champ in the meta.
He's known for being able to play good assassin champs, from what I understand.
Well, everyone says he's an aggressive player, and he's like, I'm going to bring my aggressive style to this meta, and it's like, bro, it's control mage meta. What are you doing?
To be fair, I actually think the Echo thing could he didn't do bad in the Echo matchup early in lane.
No.
But he had like next to no impact the entire game.
He had no impact. He did some dumb stuff, like once Shrimp was stealing the Wraiths away, and he tried to like dive in and chunk him out, and then Mickey just died to Maokai locking him down with the Talia, not the Talia, was it Syndra? Talia? It was Talia. Talia roams over and they get a kill.
Yeah.
And so he just killed himself trying to punish a Raptor invade by himself.
And I think this game, like, Dignitas was a lot like, okay, well, the surprise factor of Vayne kind of wore off. They just chose Varus Janna, and when you see the Vayne try to go in on this, she just gets turned every time. Like, the Varus just, like, out-trades with the Janna shield.
She doesn't even, yeah, I was about to say that. Like, the big thing is like, there are a couple, like, 1v1 duels where, like, Vayne doesn't even win it. It's just like, what is this champ
Vayne's
for?
not a good champion. Like,
yeah.
And even after Dardoch lane ganks and tries to set the Vayne up ahead, I think this is a good game where Dardoch just gets collapsed on a lot. So at 650, he dies in the river, and at 10 minutes, he dies trying to gank mid, but gets turned by Shrimp. And so then they killed Dardoch again in 15 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like he ends up dying like quite a bit in
like
this series.
4-for-1 or 4-for-0. Dardoch, yeah, this is one of those like series that remind you of like the old Dardoch when he would just like lose you a game. Like he individually lost the game for you. And that's kind of how this felt. And it wasn't like he was going for a play. It was just like he was in a bad spot and got outplayed.
Yeah, I definitely think maybe a little bit more props to Dig in that. Like they were able to collapse at good times.
Yeah. Like I said, it wasn't like he fucked up horribly. It was just like, oh, that's not really a safe invade, and they punished you. And like a couple times there's a nasty outplay where like on Gragas he throws his barrel up in the air to disengage the Jarvan, and Someday's a beast and he times it perfectly to jump as the cast is going off, so he can't get displaced and still locks down. Like some really nice plays by Dig to get these kills.
And eventually what ends up happening is Dig just win because Vayne's never able to get off the ground. And in fact, falls behind, so Vayne becomes useless essentially. And Dig win a big fight 4-0 and take Baron at 22 minutes.
Yep, they start the Baron, they turn off into a choke point. Vayne is atrocious, absolutely atrocious. Probably the worst AD carry in this situation because the tanks will lock her down if she walks into auto range. She has nothing to contribute from outside of auto range. It's a choke point, so she can't even try and flank around and get to the enemy backline or anything. She literally just sits there and watches her team die.
So yeah, and there's a reason why even in the Vayne game Teal was winning with Vayne was split pushing a lot of the time because before she gets items, she's not a very good threat at all.
Yeah. Anyways, like you said, they get the Baron. Game's over. Series over. TL season not over. Gonna have to play in the promo relegation tourney again. Second split in a row.
And we'll talk more about our thoughts on Dig when we go into the power rankings because I don't really want to talk about it here.
Yeah, I think we'll do a lot of our more wrap-up thoughts then. Which brings us... Is the music still playing on its own? It's just muted? I'm watching, what is this anime shit going on? I saw this page refresh behind, over here. I was like, what is happening?
I think, he just muted it when we started the show.
Yeah, that's funny.
Okay, so what's the next thing? Oh,
I did P1 Fly because
you want to end on TSM.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Which I completely agree with. This is a 2-0 series for FlyQuest in kind of a...
It's pretty hard fought.
The thing is, it's like... This series is a perfect example of, an intangible thing, or, I would even say a tangible thing that FlyQuest has that gets wins. It's because if you're put in situations in, mid-late game, you'll always know FlyQuest has an idea of how to win the game. Whereas a lot of these bottom-rated teams, you're just like, how does P1 win the game? I guess if they just have a big enough lead early game, they can just, trip into the win.
Yeah, they'll fall onto Baron and kill it, and hopefully the enemy team does not steal it.
But legitimately, that's how it feels like if you're watching a lot of the lower rated teams, whereas FlyQuest has a heads up on these teams, and why they consistently win against their peers in this bottom area is because they can close out games by being able to force plays.
Yes. So what happens in game one? First off, Ryu just insta-dies mid one time. He just gets stunned into Jarvan combo into dead. That was pretty hilarious. And then at 14:30, there is a 3-for-0 mid for FlyQuest that they play pretty well, admittedly, with high kiting out, gets a heal and a shield from Karma, while Jarvan and Maokai collapse, they're able to kite it out, and like I said, 3-for-0. Now they have a really large gold lead.
Yeah, the 3-for-0 in tower, and then even later on, 24 minutes, they end up getting 2-for-0 against P1 as well. And
their Baron was really clean.
Oh, is this before or after this play? I think this is
after. The Baron's after.
Okay, so before this play, this is what I want to talk about. So this is P1's decision to how to get back in the game. They're losing really badly, so what they decide to do, we're gonna bush camp the bot lane bush. That's their genius play to get back in the game. I don't know if it's even that bad, but it just felt so desperate. And I don't know if it got to the point where you needed to be that desperate, because if they lose this fight, for some reason, they're so far out of position that they will get collapsed on and die instantly if they get spotted, which they weren't able to instantly give the other team. They got spotted, they 2-for-0, then they lost Baron off this.
That's not quite the one where they lost Baron.
Oh, they lost Baron off the next fight.
Yeah, they lose Baron off the next fight, where it's just pretty classic good Baron play. You set up Baron, you have deep wards, Maokai TP's in from behind, he gets a W off on somebody.
Yeah, Balls plays it well, team collapses, they get 3-for-0, they get Baron, and the game's over.
Yep. Which brings us to game two, which was a lot closer just because early on, Zig gets Kled, they camp top, they get 2 kills early on, and it makes it so it's kind of hard for FlyQuest to play because they're on the back foot.
And on top of that, I was really scared because Jhin got picked, and Jhin into triple tanks. I'm just like, you really think this is going to work out? But it ends up being that Jhin is able to disengage the fight long enough on the enemy initiation where Jhin is able to eventually overpower the other team, even though he's not necessarily a good pick in this situation.
I think this was definitely a little bit of a weird game from a comp perspective, just because the Janna and the Gnar did so much in the fights. It felt like, for the most part, the Jhin didn't need to do a ton. Whereas, like, sometimes you pick Jhin and it's like, oh, you have triple tanks and a Jhin. Like, Jhin needs to do so much damage. But the Ori was pretty well played by Hai. Gnar actually ended up getting fed later on in this game. After he fell behind initially, there's a 18-minute dive into the bot lane, which is just horribly played by both teams. Like, disgustingly played.
But FlyQuest comes out on top 3 for 2, and this is when
Balls gets all 3 kills.
Yeah, this is definitely when P1 should not have like lost this so bad. They had the initial look bot lane. They had slow rotations, poor execution, and it ends up into a deficit for them in a situation where they're 5-man collapsing first, which would never happen.
Yeah, and like Turtle like just runs and completely ditches the bottom turret, and 2 people chase him the whole time, so it ends up with a 4v3 at the turret, like you said, because they collapse, and then Balls like misses a couple auto attacks to kill the Gnar, or the Kled, excuse me. But then he hits a Gnar ultimate over the wall blind. That Zig walked in. Is the only time I've ever seen a Gnar ult over the wall kill somebody. I was like,
that was a crazy
made your head spin a little bit. You're like, what the fuck just happened? But he ends up kind of fed after that, and then he goes into full split push mode, and P1 just seemed to have no sense of macro at all.
And so P1's solution to this was, we're going to hard initiate with Sivir Kled. That's the idea of the comp. Sivir Kled Taric, hard initiation. Unfortunately, yeah, Janna Kled are able to disengage the initiation multiple times. Like, they're not able to kill anyone fast enough, even inside the Taric ulti, and then what ends up happening is when they they can't run away fast enough from the enemy team, and then just get kind of gunned down.
Yeah, they get kited out, and then eventually FlyQuest can turn. But the reason this Goldie keeps going in their favor is Balls is able to take 2 turrets on the top side. FlyQuest, like you said, go for one of these initiations near Dragon. It gets kited out, and then they don't force the Dragon. They just recall and leave it. So then FlyQuest, after winning with the split push, also get the Dragon. It's just like really bad macro play out of them.
And that's kind of the name of P1's game in the last couple weeks. Like, everyone comes back from Rift Rivals and they're super hyped up, but I think that
I think they were really excited to like win in NA, and then when they didn't get the wins, and then they got knocked out of playoff contention, I think the team's morale just instantly died, and that's why you see Ryu quitting.
Absolutely, and on top of the fact that like I just don't think we weren't able to see a lot of their weaknesses because Mike Young set up the early game so well on carry jugglers.
I was pretty tempered in expectations. After they went 5-1 at Rift Rivals, I was kind of like, I don't actually think they're that great. Like,
but like for the most part, even I was like, okay, well maybe I could see something happening, but at the same time, this was before we saw how like the full tank jungle switch in the meta.
So that hurt them too.
Yeah, that hurt them really bad. And so it just got a situation where, the meta shifted.
4-2, 5-1, tomato, potato.
The meta shifted really hard away, and then they covered up a lot of their weaknesses in the old meta, which I didn't really see, or not many people got to see that much of.
It was basically like their laners weren't that good, and their team fighting was pretty bad. And what happened was Mike Young would just go create hell in the first 10 minutes of the game, and eventually Arrow gets out of lane, and then he can help win the game with Mike Young. That's kind of what happened, but then Mike Young stopped having the early game impact, and they fell back in the same problems they had when they had Shady and Inori and Meteos and everybody. It's the same problem.
Which is their macro sucks.
Yeah, their macro sucks, and their lanes aren't winning ever, for the most part.
Okay, let's move on to the last series of the day. Or, what's the last series? No, it was the second to last series.
No, it's the last series. We're almost done already. Because there were so many 2-0s.
Right.
It was a bunch of non-playoff teams playing playoff teams. The one thing we forgot to say how
this one.
Yeah, well, we forgot to say how this one ended. Even basically, there's a Baron fight. Balls kill some people. They get Baron. They take a bunch of turrets. P1 tries to force on the FlyQuest shortly after that. Once again, Janna kites it out. She has her passive. She has coin passive. She has ult tornado. Taric ultimate wears off. P1 get turned on and lose.
And then the game's over.
Yep.
Story of the game.
Yep.
Okay. Anyways, onto the.
Oh god, where's Arrow fit on this?
You can just throw it off the screen. It's fine, or you can just do it. Yeah. So onto the best series of the day, I guess.
Pretty fun. Game 1, not so much.
This was a TSM versus CLG. This was a 2-0 for TSM. First game, pretty dominant, fairly dominant fashion. Second game, probably one of the closest games we're going to see this year.
Very reminiscent of the first time that they met in that third game that they play, where it's back and forth all the way, and it was like a lot of really like scrappy fights. That's how game 2 went. It was really fun, and I highly recommend anyone watch it who hasn't seen it yet. So game 1, both teams just take team fight, team comps. And I was a little surprised at the early Ashe priority here.
I'm really confused about CLG's Ashe priority in general. I don't think it's awful. Since I see so little of it, I'm just like, how good is it going to be?
Yeah, and like I said, I don't necessarily hate it, but Trist, Callista, Kate, banned. So I understand that it's like, all right, you might end up on Ashe, but they took it in the first rotation with things like Cog available and Sivir and stuff that you've been seeing a lot more of. So I was just a little surprised to see them go for the Ashe that early. But other than that, I think the comps are fine. I think they end up on the worst end of it because Sivir often outperforms Ashe in the late game. Maokai is the best tank that either team drafts. Taliyah, Orianna, relatively close. Ori maybe a little bit more explosive of a team fighter, but Taliyah's damage is nuts, honestly. Taliyah needs to get nerfed. Yeah. She's ridiculous.
Throughout the series, like the thing that stands out to me is I just thought that Omar's impact was relatively like not great. The first game, definitely, he didn't have a good game. The second game, he kind of caught back up. And he did some good stuff in the mid game, but especially how the early game went out was like probably one of the most disappointing things I've seen as like a player who's played the jungle. When you're gifted like essentially 3 quadrants of the jungle and then you lose the jungle right afterwards. And I'll get back into it in the second game, but like
game 2 is the one to point out. I actually thought his game 1 wasn't as bad. I thought this was just one of those problems where your mid lane's getting bashed and like it just becomes a black hole where people need to keep going mid out of nowhere when ideally you shouldn't have to.
I mean, even then, I think that playing Sedge, like he should know like not to look to do stuff till 6. And I think that him having to cover lanes and then he got put in a bad situation. I don't think he played well during that bad situation.
Sure. But I think the bigger problem this game was that Huhi was forced out of the lane, was down 20 CS, was getting chunked out.
Yes.
That was the bigger problem. And what ends up happening eventually is at 11 and a half minutes into the game, there's a big team fight around mid lane where both junglers and supports kind of bump into each other as they're jostling around mid. And obviously... Haunter teleports in first. He plays it well. Sivir uses her ult to get involved in the fight first. Ashe just shoots an arrow, and that's basically her only team fight contribution. And it ends up being a massive 4-for-1 for TSM. And they grab mid turret.
Yes. So usually in any situation when you give a 4-for-1 to another team, especially if they're good, you're in trouble. The next 10 minutes of the game is not yours to control.
No, and especially when the 2 team comps do the exact same thing. So both these guys are team fight team comps, and that's pretty much it. So guess what? You want a team fight, you're just worse at it now. And CLG found a couple pickoffs in some of the longer lanes, but it was 1 kill, no objectives. And they started to fall behind to the point where I think it was like a 5k gold deficit when TSM started forcing a little bit more around Baron.
Yeah, they started forcing around Baron. Big team fight happens, and I think CLG comes out a little bit ahead.
It's a 2-for-2.
Yeah, and then CLG resets slow, and TSM just runs straight back and takes it.
No.
Oh, that's the next game.
Too.
Holy moly.
This was a 17-minute. There was a 2-for-2, and then at 25 minutes, TSM's forcing Baron, and then they all turn off onto Afro.
Oh,
they're like, "Get Afro, turn!" They kill Afro, and CLG just comes in behind them and just does the Baron.
It was like a way where you're just like, oh wait, that wasn't the jungle that stole it. It was like the Gragas and like the mid lane.
Yeah, Ori, he ulted the Baron to just smash it down, and. It doesn't actually matter, though, because despite the fact that they get the Baron, they still have no priority in any lane. They can't push up to a turret. It's just stalling Baron. The gold lead doesn't shrink at all. And then you wait a little bit longer. And eventually, with that Baron, as they're trying to slowly get control of bot jungle, TSM finds the look.
4-for-1, game's over.
4-for-1, game's over. It was almost well played by CLG, but they're just too far behind at this point. They can't contest.
Pretty straightforward first game, and then the second game goes
51 minutes.
Absolutely crazy. This is the very, very close game, and CLG goes for their Ashe again, which
this time though there were even more AD carry bans as Sivir and Kog'Maw are banned. 2 of the things I was talking about in the previous game.
So Ashe becomes, would you say, more reasonable in this situation?
Yeah, way more fun. I think CLG was expecting to end up in Ashe Varus, which are 2 semi-meta picks. If you need some extra engage, or there's just a lot of AD carry bans, which tends to happen right now, it's understandable to end up on these 2.
Yeah. So this game is really funny. At the very level 1, 6A gets his flash blown, and Jarvan gets Darshan is really scared about getting level 2 ganked by the jungler, so he tries to stall out the top laner and the jungler for an extended duration at level 1. What does Jarvan do? He has to smite his first buff, which, by the way, no jungler wants to do. He goes from his red buff to the bot lane.
And on the side of CLG, I'm a little disappointed that this worked. Because, like, you lost your flash on your AD carry. You're against a Braum. Like, he's just going to flash auto Q you. And you have no way of stopping it. So you have to ward out early. And they didn't put a ward in River early.
In this situation, I can kind of understand why, because the timing was so quick. And also, usually what happens is if you're not looking for this specific timing. For this timing, you would expect a top or mid gank. Or if you're going bottom, they would usually end up going for the blue into bot, like to buff the buff and then bot lane. But the fact that he even smited the first buff means he got it even faster technically, and they just ran bots. So while I do understand, like, while it could be frustrating that this happened, and yeah, they probably should have died to it, I can at least understand them dying to this.
I can kind of understand it because at the end of the day, they have a lot of paths in. Like, he could have gone through lane, right? Like, he could have gone to blue. They could have warded out early, and they could have said, hey, they warded early, and then he goes from blue, Gromp, ward gank. There's opportunities, but it felt a little too easy. TSM had 2 wards in River. It just felt like they knew that they wanted to make sure that they saw if CLG warded. It felt, I wouldn't say telegraphed, but like, you should deduce that this is an option, given that Ashe lost her flash level 1.
Right. I there's definitely something that surprised them, obviously, and they were expected. Probably they should have warded earlier. But I'm not too disappointed by this, as I am
with Omar.
Omar's reaction to this actually, like, oh my. Okay, so he starts red side. He goes to his enemy wraith camp to steal it from the enemy team, which is a good response. And then instead of going for his wraith camp, or the enemy wraith camp, into his blue side, he goes back into the golems to try to push out the enemy jungler from doing that, and then returns back to his blue side. Like
hasn't done his blue buff at like 5 minutes.
Hasn't touched his blue side in 5 minutes, and it's at the point where the Jarvan just runs in, smite steals the blue, and then contests him on his next camp, where he has to use both smites on 2 camps there, and he's then behind in levels to Jarvan. Because
Jarvan leaves and goes back to his Raptors, which like are, respawned or whatever, and grabs those, and he's level 5 to Omar's level 4.
And I'm just, it was just, I thought, very poorly played by Omar in terms of pathing wise. Really poor punish. Like, really, really good by Sven, honestly, to be able to like take his way back even after doing like a super risky early gank. And then, but ends up happening is none of this even matters.
Right. This is one of those things where, like, well, a lot of things in this game don't matter, but it shouldn't matter because at 7:30, CLG go for a red buff contest. They play it super, super well. They get a 2-for-1, and they get the red buff, and Darshan ends up 1-1 after this. And that's huge because he is playing Fiora this game. CLG did not opt for another teamfight versus teamfight comp. They went for a strong 4-man core with a Talia who can roam around the map, and then obviously they have Fiora just splitting against Maokai or J4 or who the fuck.
And I think this is a great series to just show how weak Fiora is right now against Bramble Vest. I think it takes us so much longer for her to get ahead and contest these tank picks now that you have to wait 25 minutes to be able to really get that kind of lead. And I think that this is a good game of being like, oh, Fiora didn't have that impressive state that you kind of felt from her before, where like once she got 3 items, the game was over.
It was a little surprising to see the Fiora pick. TSM did throw 2 bans on the top side just because of how the draft went.
But Camille was left up.
Camille was left up. So I thought they were going to go Camille.
I think everyone did.
And I mean, I don't know why they didn't, to be honest. Like, is Jarvan that terrible of a matchup? I don't think so. In case they don't do the flex again, they put the J4 top and the Maokai jungle.
Camille into Jarvan is the counter pick. It's the actual matchup you want to play as Camille. So I think he was thinking that the Maokai pick isn't great for Camille until you get 2 items, and potentially that he can get more split push pressure from the Fiora. But I think right now the current Fiora is a little bit too nerfed with the Bramble Vest plus the last nerf on her like 2 patches ago, to where like she doesn't hit that scaling point until 3.5 items.
Yep. So at the end of the day, I don't mind the idea that CLG, instead of opting for another team fight comp after it went so bad game 1, go to a different strategy.
I like the strategy.
I think they even executed the early game correctly. It's just things completely go off the rails as this game goes on.
This game doesn't even make sense to me. For instance, TSM swapped their bot lane top side. 16 minutes.
Yep.
Double lift, hitting the turret. Aphromoo just walks up to him. Literally walks up to him, pulls him, headbutts him back in the turret. He dies.
Did you see the tweet?
Yes.
Double lift thought Aphromoo was on his team. He lets Afro walk up and kill him.
I've never seen that before. I was just like, wow, Afro Moon must just be like a ninja. Like, he just performing the greatest magic trick I've ever seen in LCS.
I want to be like, I want to ask him, like, was it because he was Alistar and you thought Alistar was on your team? Or did you see the name Afro Moon and be like, this guy's been my teammate. He's still my teammate. And, like, you just forgot that part. Like, where was, like, the brain... like confusion.
It was such a bad situation for that to happen because it's Jinx and she was ahead and then got both her sums blown and they can't team fight for like 4 minutes.
Well, no, they go top again. They just go top again. They start pushing and it actually works because they dive.
They dive Stixxay.
Yeah, they kill Stixxay.
But I'm saying that like it shouldn't work.
Right. Well, so this whole situation happens right after. It's ridiculous. So Doublelift dies. TSM take a minute, they respawn, they go top, and they try and force her on top again. It works, they kill Stixxay, they push top turret down, Fiora's splitting really slowly during this time. TSM continues to push for the second turret in a 5v3 situation, and CLG hold. They actually get a kill on Biofrost. They keep the second tier turret alive.
And Darshan keeps pushing bot lane, and he gets bot lane outer turret plus the farm there. And so it's looking good for CLG.
And so what also happens is Stixxay respawns, fires an arrow up. They're going to continue to win this situation, except the arrow misses. He has a horrible ult and ends up being like a 3-for-2 trade.
But even trade with Darshan splitting was good for them.
It was still good for CLG, but it went like from, oh my god, TSM fucked up, CLG should smash this situation, to, oh my god, CLG fucked up, now it's closer to even.
Right. And after this situation, you're like, okay, well, CLG's got this now. They got bot lane. Darshan top side. This will be good. Like, they're in like a commanding position on the map to be able to take control of some areas. So what happens? Darshan gets picked side lane from Bjerg and Maokai end up killing them, and then Hui gets picked mid lane by the jungle and the AD, and so both your solo laners die within the span of 30 seconds right after this play, and you're just like, well, I guess TSM's in control again.
Yeah. So then eventually TSM picks two, like you said, around bot. They go to Baron. They try and force around Baron. CLG contest. They turn off. They get another kill, but they don't get the Baron. Game keeps stalling out, yada, yada, yada. CLG win a fight near Baron, and then instead of forcing the Baron, they recall. CLG, or TSM respawns, runs the Baron, and just takes it for free. This is the game 2 thing you're talking about.
Oh, God. I will say that before this, when TSM was in the position to like dominate that team fight, they were starting Baron and wanting to turn off. Hui hit a great Talia wall where he locked Haunter into the pit, and Haunter didn't want to flash over. So he stood the entire duration of the Talia ulti while his team was getting 4v5 outside.
Was this also the fight where Afro wrapped around the backside and headbutt Jinx into the pit to stop her from DPSing onto Omar God?
I think it was this one or the one right before it.
So forgive us here because there's a million team fights coming in this game. Afro plays all of them fucking amazingly. This is like the best losing Alistar performance you'll ever see.
Yeah, he hit like a 5-man combo this game where you're yes, and then they had no follow-up.
Yeah, they were on traps or something. But anyways, in this example, TSM are not able to turn off Baron. That should mean that they're in a bad position, but CLG all recall too quickly, and TSM just forced the Baron. With that Baron, though, they go down to the bot side to start pushing. CLG hop on them and get a 3-for-0 around bot lane as TSM has Baron, trying to take the outer turret. It wasn't even like a brush bait either. It was like Bjerg was mid, Haunter was coming in through river, and Huhi just walled off Haunter, and they killed the 3 people stuck bot lane.
Yeah, and this is how close the game is, because like even with this 3-for-0, like this is like still neck and neck game.
Yep.
And then right after this, CLG aces them for 5-for-0.
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, okay, so CLG's in the driver's seat. They should have this game. Afro essentially zones out their entire team in this play. I think this is where they're inside. TSM gets locked into the Baron pit, which is the worst position to ever take a fight against any team that has AoE or CC.
And this is another good Huhi ultimate as well, because Doublelift wants to just like melt the Baron down in minigun form, but the wall keeps him, so he has to stay in mega form to do the damage, which slows down the Baron long enough for CLG to get into the situation where, like you said, they're pinned up in the pit.
And Afro in this situation plays it really well. He combos in and just stands at the choke for the Baron pit so that no one can walk past him without like him, like he's creating like a zone of pressure there.
And both Bjergsen and Doublelift play this fight atrociously. Because Afro is zoning like this, what Bjergsen does is he valks over the wall to try and hop onto Huhi.
He crits Huhi for 50% of his health, so he brings him down to 30%.
And he's like, oh, I can kill him.
Yeah, exactly. So he goes over and immediately Stixxay flashes on them and kills him.
Yeah, so I think he got exhausted maybe too or something. But either way, 6A really heads up play, sees Bjergsen hop the wall, hops onto him, kills him. Doublelift is still in a position to carry this fight. There ends up where all of CLG's front line is clumped up together. All of them below like 30% health. He's critting with rockets, and then he stops and he starts shooting his ultimate instead of just auto-attacking 2 or 3 more times. And he doesn't even like run back and then shoot his ultimate. He runs forward, so he's basically like 300 units away and then ults.
Yeah,
it just looked like he wasn't familiar with Jinx.
And that's a situation where like Alistar lived with 1 auto left because he ends Jinx's life with his last combo.
Yeah, this is the fight where you lose your shit because Doublelift pops the fuck off, except he just didn't do it. And when I say unfamiliar with Jinx, I just mean like out of practice, not like he's never played shit.
Apparently Doublelift ran out of mana. But if he runs out of mana after shooting the rocket, that's his problem.
Yeah, he shot the rocket either way. So,
yeah.
I mean, that's the problem.
Anyways, let's keep going.
Yeah, either way.
Oh, this game ends up.
Yeah, you just don't ult. You just use your Q form. Just stay in mega form.
So, anyways, after this fight, they're pushing in with Darshan split pushing bot lane. And then Bjerg ends up killing Darshan, and CLG only get a top tower in advance. And this is when Elder comes up, so TSM just runs to Elder to start it. This is probably the most confusing play from CLG because I think CLG is a team that would pressure top inhib in this situation. I actually thought that they would not leave top and just sit top lane and wait for it. Wait for the other team to rotate over so that they can get an inhib, or pressure some sort of trade so that the enemy team can't get that much out of it.
It did feel like they messed up here because they end up with 2 inhib turrets down but 0 inhib. So it's at the point in the game where this is like 40-something minutes. Like, people are getting to max items. Inhib turret gold, worth nothing. Inhib, super important. They don't get either.
Yep. I think that TSM played this well and CLG reacted. At the best, I think they could have traded. But maybe they were scared of the collapse and potentially losing the game immediately.
Yeah, I'm sure they thought maybe there's a ward behind them, and after they kill Darshan, Haunter can teleport up and just murder them, and they don't want to risk getting aced. But either way, it's one of those things where generally CLG does not get picked in the one situation.
Yes, very rare, because usually they're one of the better teams at split pushing. Mm-hmm. So after this situation, they get Elder, and then TSM go to Baron, and then Afro just dies to the package. Like, he gets 3 hit and then like walks over the package and dies.
In a game full of people doing horrible shit, this is probably the only like big mistake out of Afro.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty big mistake, to be fair.
Oh yeah, they get Barret for free. And then to be fair, Bjerg played it really well.
Yep.
He had a package, he packaged immediately out as soon as Afro comboed and chucked Afro so he can't easily enter the team fight. So even if he was gonna enter the team fight, probably would have been low enough to where like they could have just killed him through his ulti.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't gonna be able to get a big headbutt pulse.
Yeah, and then what ends up happening is then Bjerg gets like he has to take the Baron, pushes in, and as they're recalling,
sieging mid. Oh wait, no, this is when Bjerg. Oh yeah.
As they're recalling, Bjerg gets picked by Was it Afro?
I think
it's like their whole team.
I don't know. Either way, for some reason, Bjerg's the only one in the mid lane or something and gets picked and killed.
And then TSM. So this is how crazy the game goes, where it's this back and forth.
Yeah, like we've been talking about this game for like 15 minutes already.
Yes.
So with their Baron now, TSM sieges mid. It's going all right. He shoots a wall out. They're chunking out Sven. They almost kill him. The arrow goes wide. And then right as Afro finds a 5-man headbutt pulve combo, Jinx puts down her traps so that CLG can't follow up. And the problem with CLG's comp is because they drafted more for the 4-1, even though Afro is finding these godlike engages, they just don't have good follow-up. They don't have another tank to really CC that well. I mean, they have Omar God.
I think that the way that the fights should play out essentially should be that the fights are started alongside of both Ashe Arrow as well as Alistar initiation threatens at the same time. Unfortunately, I think Stixday actually ended up playing this game quite poorly, and most of his Ashe arrows went wide or went at bad times.
Yeah, they're early or like it didn't matter.
Yeah, all this really bad stuff. So really, like in my mind, I'm just like, if Stixday had played this game better, if he had just ultied better this game, this probably would have been a much cleaner game for CLG.
Yeah, so like we said, the other problem, of course, is that they don't have like a burst mage in the mid lane. Like Talia would like knock the tanks back, but that's all they had. They didn't have an Orianna or whatever, just because Bjergsen destroyed their Orianna so hard last game that they didn't want to risk. They couldn't really afford 2 mid lane bans most likely because they want to get rid of Thresh and Trist. So like I understand why they had to pick Talia, but it's just not a great champion to combo with these insane headbutt pulve combos that Afro was finding.
Anyways, yeah, they finally pick up Bjerg. CLG's not able to get anything off the pick, to be honest.
Yep.
And then it ends up happening as TSM eventually get Elder, and then push down bot lane where...
Well, they get their second Elder.
Yeah, they get their second Elder.
This is crazy.
They push out bot lane, and then CLG find like a decent initiation with Afro flanking from the side, hitting a 3-man flash Pove, headbutt Pove, but unfortunately the enemy team has Elder. And I think that that's actually the big enough damage difference to where TSM with 4 Drakes and Elder just end up crushing this fight.
Yeah, and once again, this was super close. With that great engage, they melt the front line down really low, and Doublelift like kind of kites forward and into the wall while his like front line's like more up in the lane a little bit. And it makes it so CLG is like a little slow switching priority of their like target from the tanks to Doublelift. And maybe if they focus Doublelift right away, they might kill him, but either way, Doublelift plays this fight pretty well. Gets a triple kill in like a 1v or 2v4 situation.
I just personally thought this fight was really hard for them to play because usually what happens is both the front lines end up trading, and then CLG's been coming out ahead slowly, but they hit the 6-item Jinx mark with the 6-item Corki, as well as the fact that they had the full Elder. And so I really do think like the Elder buff made this fight really difficult for CLG.
Yeah, for sure. It was super close. Doublelift ends up around like 20% health, 40% health after they start focusing him. So it was like this close to getting won by CLG. They just couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, and TSM wins 2-0, solidifying their case for being like a top 2 team.
Yep.
Now to the power rankings.
Now on to the power rankings.
The last power rankings we're going to have of this year.
Of this whole year, yeah.
I don't think we'll do power rankings for Worlds or any of that. That's pretty... Oh, nice. We can just drag this along.
We can just move things around. All
Perfect. Right. So we just throw this all over here.
Let's just make this hideous.
Oh, I love it when it's hideous.
That's my
jam.
Kink?
Wow.
I believe is a...
Stop putting words in my mouth, Mark.
Where does Liquid go, dude? Why'd I write a Liquid instead of TL?
Dude, that's on you, man.
Why'd I write Fly Q instead of just Fly? Who made this shit?
You did! Okay, alright. Where do you want to start? As usual, I always ask the question. Bottom or top?
Let's start at the bottom. I feel like top's actually pretty easy, but I'm down to start at the
bottom. I was going to say top. I feel like top's pretty easy this time, but we can go bottom. So, the worst team in the league. Ugh. So,
it's close between 2 people.
P1
and Fly. Between P1 and Liquid. But you're set on P1, right?
I think it's actually P1.
I think it's P1 too.
It's actually just awful. Like, I don't know what to say.
I just don't think they want to. Like, they legitimately don't even want to win. Like, I don't think they want to win against FlyQuest and go and play in relegations. I think not relegations, the Gauntlet. I think that's further away. The Gauntlet's like a month away, whereas like they could play promotions next week and be done. I think they just want to get out of here.
I'm with you on that. Like, to be honest, they look terrible. I don't want to justify them being, like, I don't want them to justify them being better than they are.
Yeah.
Liquid,
of course, slots in right above it.
Yep.
I feel like these guys are just kind of like, also kind of fuck it mode, but like with less depression. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. That's
like,
true.
I think P1's in like fuck it, get me out of here mode, and TL's just like
TL's like, oh, we know we're gonna go into relegations. We knew that halfway through the split. Now it's just like, hey man, I got my buddies with me this time. We can play cool stuff.
Let's have some fun.
And they brought in Mickey, which by the way, I thought actually today he didn't play that bad.
I mean, the problem is that he didn't play bad either series. It's just like...
No, I thought he didn't play well the series before. His series,
game 3 was alright, but his game 1 and game 2 were sus.
Yeah, this series I thought generally, aside of the Echo series, the Echo game, he played pretty well. And even the Echo early game, I thought he played decent.
Yeah, but even the Ari game, like, he didn't play it bad, but you're still playing Ari.
True, but... Okay, so what puts this ahead of P1 for you? Aside from the fact that they don't struggle from imminent depression.
I think at the very least, their early games have been sometimes okay. Where, like, ever since Mike Young has lost that whatever niddly magic power he had, P1's early games are bad.
No, I actually think P1 has been getting an okay amount of early game leads. They just the fact of the matter is their transition to late game is so bad.
I mean, TL has the same problem. Like, TL in the series they lost versus FlyQuest were actually smashing game 2 and game 1 and game 3. They won all 3 early games that series. and they just never actually converted quickly into like, oh, here's a Baron, let's end the game.
Well, for me personally, at least Liquid for me always has a consistent winning lane, which is usually their bot lane when Piglet's not playing Vayne.
Sure.
I think they always have a lane to win pressure to go off from, and they almost always get that lane going.
Yeah.
So they have like an early game plan, and they execute it. They just have similar problems with all the lower rated teams, which is they can't close, which is what you expect from a lower rated team.
Yeah, I mean, that's why they're lower rated. But we'll move into the 8th spot now.
Echo Fox.
Yeah, you know what? I'm down with that. I think.
Wait, it's between Fox and Fly, right?
Yes. What I'd say is if Echo Fox were running their strongest 5-man core, I actually don't even care between Brandini and Looper, but I think Keith, Gate, Froggen, and Acadian, with whatever top, is better than FlyQuest. But I feel like the last couple weeks, they are also kind of in that fuck it mode, where like Froggen's like, give me talent, let me run around the map.
It's just bad because, funny enough, both FlyQuest and Echo Fox had their jungles perform poorly in the last couple of weeks. Like, both really bad.
Yeah.
If you see, like, even if you're following these guys on Twitter, they're literally saying these are, like, their worst games ever. And if you're watching the games, you know they're their worst games ever.
They look really bad.
Acadia and Moon are having, like, historically bad games for them and like, probably the worst 2 weeks of their play in the entire split.
Yeah, I think Echo Fox's bot lane still struggles a lot. Top has actually been decent in laning phase in some team fights.
That's so weird with Brandini. Just be like, I can solo kill anyone. I'm a Shen monster.
I mean, he is a Shen monster.
He
actually is really good at Shen. They should ban.
He's known for playing 2 champ, Trundle and Shen, which is why I'm surprised no one bans Shen against him.
But either way, yeah, they have one losing lane, a jungler who's not great, a mid laner who doesn't transition his leads well to team leads, and a top laner who is fine.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very few positives when you break it down.
For me, if this is the only debate, right? For me, I just think FlyQuest has the ability to win games.
Right. I mean, this is the same thing that we held against Envy for a little while. It's like,
yes,
they struggle to win games, and like FlyQuest, sometimes weak laners, sometimes weird champ rules. But if the game's even,
or even if like it's a little bit behind, you could say that FlyQuest has the ability to win a game, and I think that's a very, very rare argument you can't make for the other 3 teams.
And I think especially the 3 teams below them.
Yes.
I think like
their
ability to win late games out of nowhere doesn't apply when you get into the top half of the league.
Oh, absolutely. They just get smashed.
Yes.
But they separate themselves from the bottom of the league because this is their tangible difference.
Yes.
And I give them that.
Which brings us into 6. Once again, no discussion, I think.
Envy. They have... Lyra has been also playing pretty poorly recently.
I think another guy struggling from like the tank meta. He plays Cho'Gath sometimes, and it's just like it's just painful to watch.
But honestly,
it's like a prepubescent teenager trying to find himself. You know?
But a lot of people will like ignore Lyra's shortcomings because Seraph is having like we're talking about bad weeks for the other guys.
Yeah,
Seraph is having
he leapt it up.
Yeah, he's having like the worst week. Like this guy is literally dying all the time, every game out of nowhere. Just like terrible performances from him. And it's severely harming his team's ability to win games. Because even though their bot lane is decent,
mid lane decent,
they can't get anywhere if their top lane just randomly dies all the time.
And like we said, Lyra is not smashing anymore to cover that. And while Lyra isn't great, I think if their top lane was stable like the other 2 lanes, this team can compete.
Absolutely, but since they have like a huge inconsistent presence, something that we really railed on Ninja for last year. This is...
we railed on both of them a lot last year.
Yeah,
but the problem was Ninja was so much clearly worse.
Yeah,
and you see that just by replacing him and some improvements as a team, they go from 1 game away from relegations to 6th place pretty clearly.
But in terms of like an upper value for them, unless Seraph starts playing like consistent, going to this playoff form, I don't expect them to get any higher.
No, not at all. And I think this team, when they're playing really well, and let's say Seraph's at his absolute best, they could probably contend with Dig, but I don't think they really push even that much higher.
Yeah, I think at best they're a top 4 team, and they'll get higher than that.
Yeah.
Moving on to 5th. I think it's C9, but they're playing really well right now.
No.
You don't think so?
They're tied with CLG in match record. They are technically the third.
Is it because they've won 7 consecutive games?
They've won 7 consecutive series. Jensen has maybe it's 5 consecutive series. But first off, C9 is obliterating. Their last 2 weeks was pretty weak. It was all non-playoff teams, I'm pretty sure, aside for Envy.
Yeah, and they destroyed them.
They destroyed fucking everybody. And then you look at Dig, 3 games against TL. 3 games versus Echo Fox. Really slow, long games. Like Dignitas, like we talk about how they won a game with 2 kills in 30 minutes versus Echo Fox, who like they just didn't fight them. That's not impressive to me when you're talking about top teams. Like,
all right, you're right. I did not think too clearly about this one. After rethinking about it, you're definitely right. I would put Dig below them just because they have kind of had a little bit of, because I think both Dig and C9 ended up rising a lot toward the latter half of the season, and Dig rose earlier and fell earlier. Whereas C9 hasn't even fallen yet.
I think, Dig has done this. Started the split really well, sucked a little bit for a while, got really good, and then kind of started sucking again. Not horrible, but just like not super clean right now. Whereas C9 was pretty good, awful, really fucking good the whole second half of the split.
Oh.
Ever since they got back from Rift Rivals, they've actually been tearing it up.
Yeah.
Ever since they like, Ray, no excuses, but like he was going through depression or something. They stopped playing him completely. They give it completely to Impact. Super tank meta in top lane. You can't ban out tanks right now. You will find a tank for him to play in a decent matchup.
And he's good. As a frontliner, Impact's one of the best in the league.
Yes. So I think the meta is great for C9. I think they've actually been playing phenomenal. Contracts is actually, I think, one of the best junglers in the league right now.
No, I think even before when C9 was losing all their games, he was saying Contracts and Jensen are playing really well.
Yeah, it was those two. And then in the last couple of weeks, also Smoothie stepping up. So I think when you look at all of this, I'm actually not convinced that C9 isn't above CLG with the recent problem CLG has with Omar God.
I would actually. This is the big debating point.
I think this is
the
one
1 and
point.
2 are like fairly certain. The 3 and 4 is the one that I'm just like, okay. If Omar God, like the problem for me is like I watched all of Omar God's games. He's shown like signs of like okay, and into the point where like the mid game for the second game today was actually pretty good.
Yes.
But also, Double Lift did give him literally like a free reign, and he had Alistar to set up a lot of situations for him. So I just think in general he's a lower impact jungler, and if I had to rate him on his current performance, he's definitely latter half of the league. I don't think he's setting up his team well enough, especially for like the strength of his relative lanes, which he should be having like relatively good looks.
Yeah, I think
every game.
Game 2 is the perfect example where he was set up to, not necessarily take over that game, but get a big lead for his team. And he struggled to do it really heavily.
Yeah, that's a game where like he rushes the 6 before the enemy jungler, makes a huge play on the lane. Cool. I know what's gonna happen when I see the game. That's not what ended up happening. Somehow Jarvan gets ahead of him. Makes no sense.
Yeah, and so I think CLG's been. It's a struggle to call it slumping because I think the rest of the team's still playing fine.
Yeah, I think the rest of the team maybe even playing slightly better than they were with Dardoch, but Omar is a pretty bad factor. And also, we're getting close to the point where like Afro is playing really well coming into playoffs. Like outside of the Karma game that he ended up playing, that was just atrocious.
And that was more like he got hard fucking camped as well.
Yeah. For the most part, like if you remember last playoffs, his Nami games were just like
nuts.
Like the best Nami performance in playoffs I saw. Maybe he's having like approaching a similar level, and especially in the meta where like he can initiate. This might be looking really good for them. I agree with you though. Omar is a big problem.
Yeah. So the question is, C9 is on a rampage. Not only are they playing bad teams and beating them, they are blowing them out. Like a 52-minute series, like holy shit, stuff like that where you're just like they're murdering people. The question is, are they better now with this upswing, having tied CLG in match record? With CLG kind of slumping right now, do they pass them in the power rank?
I'm okay to have them pass.
I think they pass them too.
I think
that's not to say they'll necessarily outperform in playoffs. Best
Yeah.
of five's totally different beast. Tony's a great coach. CLG is a team that you expect to improve. But
yeah, like
just how they ended the season. I'm way more impressed with C9.
Yes, same. I think that's a good word to describe C9 in general.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
I mean, just look at their performances across the board. Contracts has actually been hard carrying most of their games. Jensen has that historic 70 kill over the last 7 series.
Gross, yeah.
Like just disgusting stat line. And Impact is not super hard feeding every game, which was the bigger problem for me.
Yeah, I think he doesn't have to play Kled now.
He does feed. He did feed once.
Yeah, he got smashed by Brandini, but
which,
like
Yeah, like.
But then he hits a nice flash taunt later in a fight.
Yeah. So like, as long as like he's in the meta where he can't get abused super hard in lane, I think he'll do fine.
Oh yeah, I think. Now that's not to say that he's gonna have an easy time in playoffs. I could easily see C9 losing in quarters, right?
Oh yeah.
Like they play Dig. Maybe Dig has their number somehow. You know, it's possible. But I think just how the regular season ended, C9.
Oh, we should talk a little bit about after this. We should just talk about what we think about what's gonna happen in the playoffs. Or do you? Oh, wait, we're doing that in 2 weeks. Right?
Yeah, we're gonna do a little small recap on the promo tournament next week, and do. I think we just do one show Sunday.
Okay.
Quick recap on the promo tourney, and then playoff predictions.
Okay. So top 2.
Lily Pichu is now auto hosting you for 68 viewers.
Woo!
Thanks, Lily. Auto host, robot.
What? Thank you for your smart decision making, fellow roommate.
Yeah, pay her off. Is that what that is?
Yeah, that was.
Reduced rent to auto host Scarra.
Dude, come on, man. I need the views.
So I think you and I are pretty much in agreement here. INT versus TSM.
Yes. You want them second?
Wait, yeah, I think TSM looked better.
Is it just because TSM kind of drafts a little bit better toward the meta that you?
Yes,
feel like...
I was much more impressed with their drafting the last.
I was gonna say,
days.
is that it? Because I still think Immortals is killing it recently.
Maybe it's so hard just because like TSM this game, game 1 they look phenomenal and they crush CLG. Game 2 they look like idiots.
Yeah, and
like everyone is misplaying on that team.
Yes, with Doublelift literally making the
Here,
most.
I thought we were in agreement on these two, so let me take these out because it sounds like you might think the other way. TSM did not have a sloppy series; they had a sloppy game. With Doublelift on Jinx, a champion he's probably played like once in scrims recently.
So what you talked about a lot that like really impresses you is like the fact that like if you're a better team, you should smash lower rated teams. I think Immortals of all the top teams does that the best.
Yes, I think TSM. Who'd they play first this week? It was P1 or something, right? They had an easy series first.
Yeah, they had an easy 2-0, and this is like relatively hard fought. But
I mean, yeah, this is a team that was almost a number 1 seed.
Yes, and so definitely we should expect that. Immortals also.
Oh, they lost a game to P1. Oh, that's right. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, and Immortals played against Echo Fox, but it doesn't mean much if you beat.
Yeah, they smashed them. So like, what I was saying was comparing C9 and Dig playing against lower level teams. TSM had a harder opponent. I mean, like, Immortals didn't have to play someone with a support player who's going to land a 5-man headbutt pull combo this week.
That's true. So we can argue back and forth. It just comes down to like who do you think the better team is. If they go head to head, I will say I'm getting pretty impressed by Sven recently. His form is looking really good going to playoffs.
Yeah, I mean he can play Jarvan. I mean that's a bruisery jungle.
I mean just in general, like the way he passes, like how he looks for stuff, like he's a very, very strong player. On the flip side, I also think if you look at mechanically executing champion stuff, Xmithy is at the very top of the list, which is so weird to say. But like in terms of like when he's playing like Jarvan specific combos where you like flash the EQ to extend it farther, and when you're doing Gragas, if he's still the only one who does prediction Gragas ultis.
Yeah.
So like his mechanics and like his positioning has also been super good.
There's not anyone playing bad like series to series right now.
Yeah.
I think we were critical of the champion pool out of Biofrost, but then this week he played Braum, which of course we already knew he was good at. But then I think he picked up someone else I was interested in. He played like a Tarek game or something.
Yeah, he did. I'm not too worried about his champion pool as much as I was more worried about his draft. I just think for me, Immortals right now looks like a cleaner team, but
they are like definitely grooving as a team.
Yeah, I think they're a better they have better teamwork together.
Yes, but TSM probably.
But TSM might be the better team. A lot of that comes down to the fact that I think that they have great players. Like,
well, so like look at game 1. How did TSM smash that game so hard? It was mostly off the fact that like Bjergsen created a lead in the mid lane that everyone then had to play around. That's not how Immortals gets their leads. It's like, oh,
Xmithy's in the great spot with Ole.
Yeah, Twitch roams at the right time, like all that stuff. So I think it's really, really close. I could go either way. I convinced you of C9 over CLG, so you convinced me of the number 1 team.
I don't care that Immortals lost one tower all weekend. I just think they're looking really good.
Yeah.
They're really, like we try to stray away from putting these teams head to head, right?
Right, because it's not, even though we're debating between these two teams, it's a power ranking of the league.
Right. So how does a team stack up against everyone else? God, I think in all honesty, I find it hard to think that Immortals would drop against anyone that's not top 3 or 4. Like, they won't, period.
Right.
Whereas TSM maybe drops a game against a couple, but like they won't drop series because they're just too good as well. So like if you're valuing pure consistency as a factor, Immortals might be better because TSM will drop random games. But I don't really think that matters, to be honest.
I mean, you're talking in circles, man. Tell me who you want number 1.
I go with Immortals number 1.
All right. I think this one's super close as well.
Well, actually, I think you can give it to TSM.
You ready to flip flop again without me saying anything?
I think TSM is looking really good, super good. And, they're both. It's super close.
Do I screenshot this? Does this end up?
Well, I mean, how about we do this? We'll just have a donation goal. So like, if we reach, we'll have two PayPals.
We'll get 2 funds going. GoFundMe's, one for Immortals, one for
TSM, and you guys can sway us with your wallets because honestly, we live in America, so we gotta do it the democratic way.
Yeah, you get set up some lobbyists. Get some TSM lobbyists in here.
I'm okay with this. Actually, I am completely okay with this.
Yeah. I think it can go either way.
Yes.
I'm really not convinced. There's a reason they tied.
I don't even think this. I think this is so close. Like when you're looking at like C9 versus CLG, that might be a little bit wider away than these two are.
Yeah, I can see that. The scary thing though is that like the quarterfinals are going to be really close. Where like CLG could beat Envy really convincingly, and C9 could lose to Dig, and I wouldn't be surprised at all, even though we have these as the power rankings.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I expect CLG to beat Envy, but we'll talk about that next week. Yeah. Anyways, these are our power rankings. I know all of you guys agree with them because you all love.
Well, there's no other way it could possibly be. This is just a fact.
When we, the host of Greatest League Talkshow, create a power ranking list, honestly, there isn't another one that's better.
There isn't even another one. I don't even know if there's another power ranking list. Like
I said,
legitimately, I don't know.
Like I said, not another one that's better. Anyways, we're good. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more content, follow us on our YouTube, youtube.com/GreatestLeagueTS. It's where we'll upload all of our episodes. Recently, we've had a little bit of a change of editors, so we need to find a way to re-upload them on time. But usually, they'll be uploaded the day after the episode comes out. Aside from that,
thank you for watching. Next week we'll be back. Probably only a single one. We'll see. No, I'm not sure, but probably only a single one on Sunday to briefly recap the promo tourney, just who won, who looked good, yada yada yada. Players to watch maybe for next year or something, and then we'll move into playoff predictions.
Who do you expect to come out? Do you expect any teams to be able to beat their?
I think GCU has a reasonable chance to knock one of the two out because I think GCU gets 2 chances. They might lose in round 1, let's say, to I forget who they have, like TL or whatever the fuck. Let's say they lose there. Then they probably play E United. They beat them pretty convincingly in the finals. It was a 5-game series, but it did look like for the most part GCU was better. So maybe they beat them and then they get another crack at whoever loses between.
I'm of the same opinion. I think GCU was one of the harder teams when we ended up playing against them. I ended up playing against them.
So. No, dude, I was a part of that team.
Oh,
remember?
Yeah, you're right. You're a coach.
I analyzed those. I was casting.
But. Yeah. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us, and tune in next week for our wrap-up as well as prediction segment for playoffs.
Yep. Thank you guys for watching. Oh, fuck. I got to screenshot this. Josh just bails out these days.
Dude, Josh's got important things to do. He's got anime to watch. Animes to watch.
Snapping tool.
Only the greatest of production for Greatest League Talkshow.
I mean, you can just tell we put our all into this. You know what? I'm just going to put this in Wiki. I don't give a shit.
Why don't you just call it week 9.
I called it week 9, but it's in the week 8 folder.
It's okay. Here we go.
Ta-da!
Ta-da!
So many red boxes. Ugh. Cool. All right,